My sister slept with my husband, had another man's baby while she was with him, and still showed up at my business expecting me to save her. The surprising part wasn't that she asked. It was that, for the first time in my life, I said no. My older sister Veronica was always the family favorite. When she wanted ballet, my parents paid for the best studio in town. When I asked for art classes, mom said money was tight, then bought Veronica piano lessons. She got a car at 16. I got a grocery store cake. Her graduation filled a banquet hall. Mine was a backyard barbecue because dad said they'd already done the big celebration once. College made the pattern impossible to ignore. My parents paid toward Veronica's MBA and covered her bills when she moved home. I worked 2 jobs while studying fragrance chemistry. When I called to say I'd landed an internship, mom replied, "That's nice. Veronica has a second interview." At Christmas, Veronica opened a designer watch and leather bag. I got socks and a $25 Target card. Mom claimed she'd spent the same on both of us. I told myself it was normal family nonsense. Veronica supposedly needed more support. I learned to cover my own rent, tuition, and emergencies because no one was coming if I fell. During my final year, I met Adrian at the perfume boutique where I worked. He listened when I talked about scents and remembered my exams. A year later, I married him because, for once, I thought I was someone's first choice. At our wedding, Veronica wore an attention-grabbing dress and joked that I'd hit the jackpot. Afterward, mom kept urging me to invite her over. Veronica came usually when I was working. Once I found her eating takeout with Adrian on our couch. Another time, she hovered beside him in the kitchen, touching his shoulder and laughing at everything he said. When I objected, he said she was lonely and I needed to relax. Then he started coming home late. One night, just after midnight, I smelled jasmine and vanilla on his shirt. I formulate perfume for a living. It wasn't mine. Before I could ask, he said, "Veronica and I are in love." I asked my parents to let me stay while I found an apartment. Mom claimed their house was under renovation. Dad said it was not a good time. Weeks later, I learned they already knew about the affair. The renovation wasn't real. They simply didn't want Veronica to feel uncomfortable. The divorce was quick. Adrian's prenup left me with almost nothing. Then, after I told his parents why the marriage ended, he called the owner of my boutique and said my personal drama was hurting the business. I was fired the next morning. So I took a small loan and started blending perfume at my dining table. I filled bottles by hand, printed labels at the library, and packed orders after midnight. A beauty blogger reviewed one scent. Orders grew. 2 years later, I had a studio, an assistant, and boutiques carrying my line. That was where Veronica found me. She walked in holding a baby, looking nothing like the woman who had paraded around with my husband. "Adrian left," she said. "I have nowhere else to go." Then she held up the baby. "Don't you want to meet your nephew?" I asked why the child's father wasn't helping. Her face answered first. The baby wasn't Adrian's. After taking my husband, she'd cheated on him, drained his accounts, and posted old vacation photos after he cut her off. Now the money was gone, and our parents could no longer afford to rescue her. She asked for a room, money, anything. It was the same crying that had earned her lessons, cars, paid bills, and every second chance. I looked at the packing table behind me. Every bottle on it existed because, when she helped destroy my life, no one offered me a couch. When I had nowhere to go, you all protected the person who put me there, I said. "Call mom and dad." She said they had sold their house to cover her debts and were living in a cramped condo. Apparently, even that wasn't enough. "Then you'll have to figure it out the way I did." I opened the studio door. She stood there for a few seconds, waiting for the old family rule to kick in, that Veronica needed help, so Elena had to disappear. It didn't. She walked out. Adrian came by months later after his business took a hit. He called losing me his biggest mistake and asked to start over. I told him I'd built a life with no space for him, then returned to my new formula. My parents still send emails saying family is all we have. I don't answer. My perfume line now has its own Chicago storefront, and I'm engaged to a man who has never asked me to shrink so someone else can shine. That evening, I finished packing the order Veronica had interrupted. Then I locked the studio door and took my key home.